In the United States, both unemployment and inflation have been fairly low, about 5% or lower, for much of the past 2 decades. But even low unemployment and inflation affect and undermine the economic growth. In the U.S., the official unemployment rate is based on the number of people claiming unemployment benefits. But not all unemployed people file for unemployment benefits, and people whose benefits have expired are not counted, so the system is flawed. In many cases, it makes financial sense to stay unemployed. The unemployment benefits might be higher than the wages from a part-time job. Similarly, those without jobs often qualify for programs such as free or discounted health care. Sometimes it makes sense for people to choose or to stay unemployed. Inflation is the other key economic issue, which occurs when the prices of goods and services begin to rise. High inflation can create economic turbulence, exaggerate a person's financial success or failure so that he becomes rich or poor very quickly, increase the number of people who are at risk for poverty, and cause political instability.
Next is question number 2. What are the 3 questions any economic system must answer? In any given economic system, there are 3 questions that must be answered. They are, what should be produced, how are we going to produce it, and who should it be produced for? These questions are fundamental steps to forming a successful economic system. Although every society answers the 3 basic economic questions differently, in doing so, each confronts the same fundamental problems: resource allocation and scarcity. What to produce is concerned with how we allocate our scarce resources. Basically, you have to analyze what the buyers want and what is going to put your business at the best possible outcome for the future. How to produce brings up the question of what combination of scarce resources will we be using to produce the goods and services that you previously decided on creating. This is basically asking how you are going to make it all possible. Lastly, the question of whom to produce for is concerned with how the goods and services are distributed to a society. This is asking who is in need of the good or services produced and who is going to be willing to purchase the product. All of these vague questions work together to outline the premise of a company or business. These 3 basic questions set the stage for the success of your economic system.
Now we will be looking at some key differences between a perfect competition and a monopoly. A perfect competition is made up of many sellers who sell similar goods to the buyers. An example of a perfect competition is grocery stores. They all sell similar goods. A monopolistic competition is made up of many sellers who sell close substitute goods to buyers. An example of a monopolistic competition is taxi versus minibus companies. In a perfectly competitive market, the price equals marginal cost and firms earn an economic profit of 0. In a monopoly, the price is set above the marginal cost and the firm earns a positive economic profit. Perfect competition produces an equilibrium in which the price and the quantity of the good is economically efficient.
How does a functioning price system perform the market clearing function? To be a functioning price system, you have to be able to perform the 3 questions listed in the slide before: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom it should be produced. The exact quantity that producers take to market will be bought by customers. This means that there is nothing left over, and it works because there is not an excessive amount of supplies, nor is there a shortage. The market clears efficiently without anything left over.
If the government were to decide how much fast food employees got paid, some fast food restaurants would lose profit and others would lose employees, depending on whether the government decided to raise the wage or lower it. If the government decided to lower the wage, people would quit their jobs and go work at places where they're paid more for their specific but limited set of skills that those people have. If the government were to raise the wage, some fast food restaurants would lose money because they don't make enough to pay all of their employees that much money or more. If restaurants are allowed to set their own prices, then both of these problems would be resolved.
Because the government sets a minimum wage, what does McDonald's do? McDonald's, it can't hire as many teenagers. It improves its capital equipment to serve. It does less business because it has to charge higher hamburger prices. In the absence of a minimum wage, McDonald's would be able to offer a larger number of jobs to a larger number of youngsters, and they would be able to acquire some skills. And not only McDonald's.
So we hire more people get work.
Younger people would work, and they'd get a chance to develop their skills to become productive members of society instead of being driven into a cycle of poverty and of welfare, which is absolutely deplorable.